Aloha, everybody. It looks like Dion Blue Crescent Tarot and Zane Tarot Token Witchery are here. Oh, and there's Betsy Palmer Medium. Aloha. So let me get the stream up on my phone. Turn off the sound. And then if you hear like the sounds of hell, that's just my cat fighting herself. Welcome, Leeza Robertson, to my channel, and I'm looking forward to our chat about your Mermaid Tarot. But let's touch bases a little bit about what's coming. I know you have a list of books and decks that are on their way. You already have Tarot Court Cards for Beginners, Tarot Reversals for Beginners, the Tarot Healer, which I love that book, by the way. Pathworking the Tarot, and right now there's a pre-order for Raise Your Vibration with the Archangels. And you said there's 3 more books on top of that?
Yeah, there's 3 more books.
Okay.
So the book I just finished is Tarot Priestess. That was a really interesting book to write from my perspective. That book took me 2 years to finish for lots of different reasons. It was slotted around because of lots of other projects, but I have in my timeline. So
right.
What happens when you've got such an extensive publishing funnel is sometimes publishers will like switch projects around and switch timelines around, and you've got to be really flexible and be able to jump in and like just go with it. So the Priestess book kind of got shelved once, and then we had to do an extension for it because of another project. So it took 2 years to go from idea to final submission, which is actually a long time for me because I don't actually like to work on a book that long. I like to really be in the kind of creative bubble of it and like just get it all out at once. So there's that one. Then there is a mermaid book I am working on. So that is a mermaid moon chakra book that I am currently in the middle of writing. And there is another angel book coming out. So yeah.
Okay. So you're gonna have 2 angel books.
There will be
once
there will probably be more, but that's just what we have in the works right now.
Right. Because there's always something in the works, right?
There's always something in the works.
Speaking of, your newest deck, Cirque de Tarot, is up for pre-order, correct?
Yeah, that comes out in September. I'm really excited about that deck. So that was another idea that got shelved initially. I came up with that idea probably in 2017, and I remember floating it to Barbara, who's the acquisitions officer at Llewellyn. She's my boss. And they were pretty excited about that. And I don't know what happened. I don't know what other project got in the way of that one. It might have been Pathworking. I think I just finished Tarot Reversals. But I kind of just put it to the side for about a year. And when I came back to it and I did it, I wasn't overly in love with it, I must admit. So I said, do you guys still really want? Actually, I submitted this idea along with a totally different idea, hoping they'd pick the other idea, which was kind of, well, we'll get back to the Mermaid Tarot in a minute. And they were like, no, we really want that circus one. So could you like get that like done? Like, could you map that out? And I was like, okay. And then we found Josh, whose art was so incredible. He totally changed how I felt about that. And that often happens for me. Julie did that with the mermaid deck, and Josh totally took that Cirque deck to like this incredible level. And it was and it was through his art that we really got to embody that deck in such a profound way. And I've even written a guidebook a very different way as well for Cirque to kind of go with this entire circus performance theme thing. So that was the art for me. Sometimes really can shift a project. It can either shift it into something more tangible and real so that we've got more concrete stuff, or it can actually shift the ideology. Like it can totally like move the project from where I thought it was going to go to where it ends up going. And that's kind of what happened with Cirque.
Amazing. And then you have 4 others that you're working on at the same time? or is there even more?
Oh
Because
no,
I know you
well,
got your Soul Cat Tarot, which actually Stephanie Burrows wanted me to ask you about because she loves Adam's work. So
that's actually done.
that one's
That
done.
comes out, yeah, that comes out in March. So there'll probably be pre-orders for that later in the year. I'm just finishing up the guidebook now, but that project is pretty much done and finalized. We have covers for that, yeah, already. So that one's kind of off the board, so to speak. As I said, I am actually still putting the guidebook together, but by the end of this month, it'll be a done deal. So I don't really count that anymore.
Okay. And then the other ones you have in the works are the Fairy Tarot, which you've been working on in the Fae time.
Fae time. That's my artist. Poor Emily. Poor Emily's had to do this deck in between doing calendars, and she is a traditional watercolor artist, and she is so brilliant. Like, her work is so rich and so layered, and she's a real perfectionist with her art. So because she had such interruptions coming in and out to do the Llewellyn calendars and work on this deck, it kind of really stretched the project out. But we're getting there. But yeah, it's definitely on Fae time. It's not on human time.
And then you have your Celestial Unicorn Tarot, which you just started working on. Is that right?
Celestial Unicorn. This is actually a really interesting project for me because it's the first time I've collaborated with another deck creator. So obviously all decks are a collaboration. It's the creator and the artist. But this time I actually collaborated with another creator. So Callista and I met a couple of years ago, and it actually took me a year to convince her that we should do this project. Because she comes from the Oracle world, and she doesn't really know tarot that well, and she was a little kind of overwhelmed by the project. And I was like, it's fine, we can do this, we can get it great. I had ideas for the guidebook that will be that are pretty similar to the Animal Totem Tarot, where it can be used outside of the scope of tarot if you really wanted it to. So after I'd kind of put my pitch together and showed her my ideas, she was like, all right, well, let's just see how we go. And it just went really, really well. So obviously, because now we have the contract and Eugene's the artist, and we're literally just starting that deck. So it's just in the very beginning process.
I saw your post with the High Priestess image from that. Gorgeous.
Yeah. Eugene was so nervous when I asked him to do that because we had an artist who was very interested, and then after we'd gone through the entire process, thankfully before contracts came out, they kind of told us that they didn't think they could actually do the project, and that happens more than you guys know about what happens in the back end of a lot of this stuff. So then we had to look for another artist, and I was really excited about the option of Eugene doing this project because he did such an amazing job on the Animal Totem Tarot, and I knew that he could really step into this and do something really creative and something completely outside of his comfort zone. And I remember when I approached him, he's like, oh God, I don't know. He's like, I really don't know. He says he says, you really stretched me with the animal deck. He says, this one might be a stretch too far. And I'm like, well, I don't believe that's true. So why don't you just sit with it and see how it feels? And then he comes back and he's like, my wife told me not to screw this up. So, because she really likes horses and she really wants me to do this project. So that's how he kind of came on board. But I'm excited. I'm excited to see what he does, because Eugene's actually done a lot of decks and he has worked with various deck creators. But artists, I love seeing how they can kind of move into something that's a little beyond their scope or a little beyond their scale, but still really them. So I really am excited to see how he's going to embody this unicorn energy, which is so not him.
Well, speaking of, you were never into mermaids, were you, when you made this deck?
Oh God, no. Hell no. I didn't want I didn't want the idea at all. I did not want that idea at all.
But you ran with it, right?
Not initially. Not initially. So I remember when I got the idea and I was like, no. And it circulated for a while. Because I know it looks like, I just kind of pulled decks out of my backside, but that's actually not true. They actually take a couple of years before I'll even sit down and think about putting them together as a proper deck. So I know when the idea came to me and I was like, oh, no. But it was very, very persistent. So I was like, well, I'll research, because that's what I always do. I always do pretty extensive research on my decks. And I was like, that's okay. I'll just research it for a little while and just see. I'll humor myself is the way I was thinking of it. I'll humor myself. So I did the research, and I did some pretty extensive research into folklore and myth and kind of like the social cultural pop art and movements towards mermaids and all that kind of stuff. So I read lots of fiction books. I read lots of non-fiction books. I read lots of academic text, you name it. I've probably read it when it comes to mermaids. So after 6 months, I was still like, it's a hell no from me. It's a hell no for me. This is just not me. It's not who I am. I really am struggling with this. And while I was doing this, I read Elizabeth Gilbert's Big Magic book, and there's a chapter in there about how she had a similar experience. She had this idea, she wasn't overly thrilled with it, but she kind of worked it for a little while, and then she had this friend and she kissed it away, and I was like, oh, maybe I could like kiss it away and give it to the universe, and it can give it to somebody else. And so I sat in meditation for like a week, like visualizing, kissing this idea away and giving it to the universe. Right? Just for a reference, I'm an introvert. I'm not going to be kissing anyone.
Right.
So, except for it's my wife, obviously. But so I was reading. About 2 weeks later, I got the Llewellyn catalog, and I'm flipping through it, and I saw a mermaid deck, and I was like, oh my God, that's it. I'm off the hook. Right? I'm off the hook. I don't have to explore this. So I thought it would be funny to like email Barbara and tell her what had happened and give her the whole gist of it. Ended up being a very lengthy email. She writes back in about one line. She says, that wasn't our deck, but you should really send me your idea.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, God damn. No.
You were caught in the fishing net.
So my wife came home, and I told her, and she goes, well, looks like you've got to do it now. Just get it out of your system. Just see what comes out. She says, maybe when it comes out, it really will be bad, and they won't take it, and you'll be fine. And I was like, that's a great idea. So I sat down and I channeled for 36 hours straight. I did the entire proposal in 36 hours. I didn't spell check it. I didn't format it. I did nothing. I was like, this is it. If you hate it, I don't care. Well, I didn't hate it. And we had art within 7 days. We contracted in 10 days. And that's the fastest that process has ever happened. Yeah, that's not normal. That doesn't normally happen.
No, that sounds really fast.
That was really, really fast.
But obviously you had a lot to say about mermaids.
So one of the things that I do with the books is I actually try not to write the book. And I know that sounds crazy, but I try to have the cards tell their story. I try not to tell the story. So when I sat down so I actually don't write the guidebooks until the art's either completely finished or about 80% finished, because I really like to channel the image. I like to look at the artwork and really get the inspiration from there. I don't like it to come from me, and I'm not one of these people who just wants to sit down and write the same thing in every guidebook either. So I want to be inspired by the artwork. So no, I didn't have a lot to say, but the art had a lot to say, and the mermaid energy had an awful lot to say. So that's what is in the guidebook.
So this is basically all channeled information.
A lot of that is, yeah. Like, and when I go over it again, and when I'm because I do tidy all the text up before I send it to my editor, I make sure that it has the right tarot components in it as well, so that we have hit all the notes, because it is a tarot deck. It is a tarot guidebook. So there is specific information that needs to be in there. So I just make sure that it's all kind of in there.
Kind of like add the information in.
Yeah, just make sure and make sure it makes sense and that it's relevant, that the content is
Right.
relevant to the card and relevant to the learnings and relevant to the message.
Right, which makes sense. So do you find with each of the decks, the voice of the book is very different for each of them?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And would you say most of your writing, even the books without decks, are channeled writings?
Yes, nearly all of them.
Yeah, nearly all of them. Okay. And how long
Yeah.
have you been a channel, actually?
Um, well, I guess technically since 2009.
Okay. And what was the first energies that you channeled?
The angels.
The angels.
Yeah.
And you're going to be coming out with an angel tarot soon with Tiffany as the
Yep.
artist.
Tiffany Tollard. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Ooh, I'm looking forward to that one. So
That one's,
I
that
pulled
one's
some of
been
the
that one's been a
cards.
long time in the making because I actually didn't know how to put angels into tarot the way that I wanted them to be in tarot.
Right. Okay.
So that
You
one
figured
took
it.
a while. I did, but I kind of designed that deck that it kind of all fell into place while I was writing the Angel Numbers book.
Oh,
So
okay.
that they're actually going to kind of go hand in hand. I've actually used that book as a reference for the Angel deck.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it
So
was one of those things where as I was writing that book, the system just kind of started clicking into place. So it was kind of writing that book and taking notes for that deck at the same time.
right. Double channeling. So can we go through a few of the Mermaid Tarot cards, just talking about the ideas behind the imagery?
Sure.
So this is in no particular order. I just pulled out. I wanted to pull out 10. I ended up pulling out like 32 and having to go through it again. There's so much expressive art in here, and so the first one I wanted to talk about here is the Strength card.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, normally you see the woman wrestling the lion or sitting with the lion, and here we actually get a mermaid in action saving something that's way bigger than her. So I love the expression here, how strength is less about size or size of the muscles and it's that internal strength. Whereas here it's like she's just trying to free the whale, which is amazing. So
Yeah, so there was a bit of activism in this deck. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, there's
like
some
death card.
yeah, like the Jeff cut. There was, I don't think today, like, I don't think you can produce a deck today about our world without having some reminders in there that we share our planet.
Mhm.
So I knew if we were going to really get into this, that was one of the things when I sat down, I was like, well, if I'm going to be doing this, then I want to tell the story of the ocean. I want to like get
Mhm.
some real shit in there. So that is one of these cards of whales being trapped in fishing nets and the damage that does, the fear it creates, and how, the energy of that fear can actually weaken someone, and they need someone who is stronger in that moment to assist them.
Mhm. It's an amazing image,
Yeah, Julie
especially
did
for
amazing
me
work.
here on Maui, where we have humpbacks come every year, and just yeah, gives me chills. Speaking of, where did I do with it? That brings me to this card, which is it was really harsh the first time I saw it. Truthfully, like I had a visceral reaction.
Yeah. Again, like the damage that we're doing to our oceans is
Mhm.
that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted people to look at some of the images in here, and I wanted them to have difficulty looking at them. That was kind of the point. I wanted to have that struggle because I think a lot of times out of sight, out of mind with
Right.
the destruction that we're doing. So if we can put some of that into these beautiful images, and these images are in the hands of people all over the globe, then it's not out of sight anymore. It's something that's there and you're going to see it. And maybe so that might move someone to actually be a little more engaged, be a little more informed, and take some better care.
Right. Well, and it's very, very personal for me, since I live on an island in the middle of the ocean. So whatever happens in the ocean happens to me.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that was very true too. Like, I mean, I know Australia is a big island, but we are still an island.
Right.
So islands have very unique ecosystems, and they are dictated by the waters that surround them. So being Australian and coming from the largest island in the world that has large island problems, being surrounded by water and water levels and changing tides and warming oceans and what it does to coral reef and how that actually affects us as a people, that's something I'm highly sensitive to as well. And I think that a lot of people who don't really have that experience or don't live on coastal areas, they don't really have that understanding.
Right. Yeah, they haven't seen the trash wash up after a tsunami.
No, or even just from a storm, or even if a tanker upturns, like what that means. Like they may see it on the news, but they don't know what that really means. They don't know what it means if a pod of dolphins or whales just wash up on the shore, and it takes hundreds and hundreds of people to deal with this, and the aftermath or anything like that. So like we, as I said, being Australian and being in partnerships with countries like New Zealand, where our water is very important. What happens in our oceans is super important. It's one of the reasons New Zealand banned nuclear submarines and nuclear ships from coming anywhere near their coastal waters, because of that. So that whole thing of what happens above happens below is kind of inbred in our culture.
Right. Which, as above, so below. The High Priestess here actually, I get a very much almost a magician vibe from this card. It's like a combo of the Magician and High Priestess in a way. But I love this image.
So that's our mythological, right? This is our history. This is the myth of all of these beautiful sea goddess, diva, witches, and priestesses coming into power there in that card. So, again, as I said, I read a lot of mythology and history for this deck. So a lot of these images were just like a montage of that information, and this was definitely one of them. But I love this idea of this woman who looked like she had tentacles, but they weren't tentacles. Like this whole idea of this woman in power being somehow this beast, that if you were in power too, you'd see her as this revered priestess, but if you were not in power, you'd probably see her as a threat. So I kind of like that imagery as well.
That's amazing. And speaking of fishing nets, I love this image of the Hanged Man that you came up with.
That's Pam's favorite card. She calls that her mermaid boyfriend card.
I love it. He's pretty serene, just hanging there. Okay, well, whatever.
Yeah, she forever calls that her boyfriend card. This is my boyfriend. This is my mermaid boyfriend. Man.
Like, and he can't get away.
there's something troublesome about that Pamela Chan, but yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Right. But I wanted this really playful element to the Hangman, because I really feel like in the modern tarot, the Hangman is very deliberate. Like, it's not the old 15th century Hangman where we're talking about punishment. We've really changed and evolved this card with modern tarot. So I really wanted something that was playful and cheeky and very strategic and very aware and very alert. And this is this little mischievous merman who's like, I'm gonna screw with the humans today. Huh.
Well, it was interesting because when you're talking about how you were like fighting against the idea of this deck at first, this was the image that popped into my head of you just being like, I don't want to be here, but I'm here. So now.
No, he wants to be there.
He
We're like
wants
on
to be
two
there.
totally different wavelengths there.
Okay, well, obviously, part of you wanted to be here
That's
then.
right,
Be part of
obviously,
this.
right?
And speaking of mythology, especially because where I live, the Queen of Wands, I mean, can't get more Pele than this.
I know. Yeah. Well, I don't think you could have a deck about islands and fire and not honor that particular goddess. Like, and there was a piece of me that's like, I don't want to get struck down either. So I was like, yeah, okay, goddess, you get your own card. It's okay.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, as soon as when I was flipping through the deck, I saw this and I was like, oh my God, this is definitely my deck because I live here in Hawaii and I've experienced most of the things in the cards. And so speaking of fiery, I found this Five of Wands very interesting because normally you see the five people fighting each other, but here it's like they're a united front against something else. So
Yeah. So, see, the fives to me, no matter which one you pick, they're really not determined. I always see the fives as they could go either way, right? They could
right,
go either way. They could either fall in your favor or fall against you, depending on how you kind of see that energy of change, how you see
right,
that energy of challenge, right? So I thought it would be really great to like show people well, it could go this way because we tend to just pitch the story of the Five of Wands this way. This is how it's going to go.
right,
It's going to be freaking chaotic. So strap yourself in, even though we know that it's not a predetermined result. Like how you
right,
come to the energy of that card is really how you're going to dictate the results. So I wanted something that showed the other side of that. And that is, if you really got your shit together, it could actually work out.
right. Well, and a lot of times when people see the Five of Swords as conflict, it's like, well, okay, yeah, but a lot of times I see it as playful conflict, like five brothers like tussling with each other. But if an outside source came in, this is what you get, right? The five together, stronger together because they've been fighting each other to strengthen themselves. So
Yeah, or it could be this is what happens before, and like if you get weak arms, then you're going to cross the blades. What was that movie where they say don't cross the blades? I know there's a like,
don't
oh,
cross the
Ghostbusters,
streams.
Ghostbusters, don't cross the streams.
Oh my God, I love that. Oh,
And if you don't know what that movie is, you're just too young. Why are you here?
I saw it in the theaters.
Exactly.
So this next card is very, I don't know, I love the Lover's card because it's like the mermaid her is looking at her human self in a way, but it's like loving both sides of yourself, which is a very different take on the Lovers. And I really, really like this card a lot. So.
Yeah, this is the love it or hate it card. Seriously, of the deck, which kind of surprised me. I've had a lot of reviewers and a lot of emails and a lot of messages about this card, and I'm like, really? This was the card. This was the one that tripped you up. All right. As a creator, it always surprises me. How dare you have the Lovers where it's just one person? And here's the thing: a response a person makes is a real indication of where they are in their journey. So I don't make a judgment. And usually I actually don't reply, to be perfectly honest.
Right.
But it was a real surprise to me that this was the card that people really bugged out on. But again, it was the mythology card. So for me, this was the Little Mermaid card. It was the card of the Little Mermaid thinking that if she was like a different version of herself, she would be happy and fulfilled, rather than learning to love the reflection that was actually there. So again, as I said, there's a lot of mythology, there's a lot of different storytelling that went into designing these images, and that's what it was for me. And I actually thought it was a a really great card to look at the fact that the traditional lovers actually doesn't have anything to do with separate people. The lovers is the
Right.
card of the different components of self that can be brought together through the angels to then be expressed as non-judgmental love in the world as we, because we move into the world through the chariot. And I was like, as I said, I was surprised that this was the card. I'm
This
like,
one
wow,
was
I'm
the
wondering what in Cirque's going to trigger people. Like, I'm always like, which is it going to be? If it was the damn lovers in the Mermaid Tarot, what the hell's going to happen next?
I can't believe this triggered people. I love this card. Like, I totally saw the Little Mermaid, especially with like that castle in the background, and then you have the necklace that holds the power of the sea witch and everything. Yeah, I mean, I totally saw what you were doing here. So
No.
another one that I've heard.
That was the trigger card, Jonathan. That was the trigger card.
That was the trigger card. Okay. Which is funny considering you'd think something like Six of Swords would be a trigger card for people. But no. That's crazy.
I don't think anyone's ever mentioned that card before, except for my artist who was like, "You sure you want a seal there? You know that they jump, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's why I want the seal there."
This is such an interesting take on the Six of Swords, because it's like obviously they're going somewhere else, but it looks like a very rough journey. And you hope it's not too bumpy because he is sitting on swords.
Exactly. But again, like I think one of the great things about being a deck creator is you get to have a bit of you play with what the cards mean, because tarot is so open-ended. It really is personal definition. And I think it's good to play with some of these perceived, rope learnt meanings of cards. And again, the Six of Swords to me is another one that we don't really know much about. In the old tarot decks, the traditional tarot, it's just people stuck in a boat in the middle of somewhere. We don't know where they are. We don't know where they're going. We don't know where they've been. There's so many unknowns to that card. So as a deck creator, I love to play with those cards that, like, they don't give us a lot of information. We're meant to read into it. So this is my reading into that card. I mean, that boat could be ready to go over a waterfall for all we know, right? We don't know because we can't see on the edge of the boat. We don't know.
We just see a little sliver.
We just see like this tiny little Polaroid. So yeah, but as I said, my artist is the only one who ever kind of pointed this out to me. She's like, "Did you really think through the seal?" I said, "Yeah, I did." Oh, okay, then seal it is.
Right, because the journey is always a little bumpy.
Yeah. Maybe they're going to hit that beautiful patch in the ice and just slide the rest of the way, and they don't have to do any work at all. But that's the point. We don't know with that card.
Right. I love that, actually. Speaking of knowledge, I love this Hierophant card because you don't see someone, I don't know, preaching to others. You just see someone who's enriching themselves. So.
My little recorder of history. This is secretly my mermaid incarnation. Yeah. Well, I kind of. This is me in mermaid form. To me, the Hierophant is about recorded knowledge. Like it's about history and tradition. Well, they have to record that. Again, it's stuff we don't necessarily see in the cards, right? So we have this presumption. We make this presumption when we see the Hierophant that they know all this knowledge and now they're here to like tell you about it. But we don't see the other side of it, which is they have written this stuff, recorded this stuff, documented this stuff. They have an entire library. So I guess sometimes from my perspective as a deck creator, I like to throw in some of these maybe behind the scenes or other parts of their job description.
Right.
And that's what she is. She's recording the history of mermaid kind so that that knowledge can be handed down from generations to come.
Right. And in a way, she's adding to what already came before.
Exactly. Yeah, which I think is the role of the Hierophant.
So I know that the pentacles are the like more fairy and like forest lands, right?
Mm-hmm.
For some reason I pulled the Eight of Pentacles just because it's not the typical image that you see with the Eight of Pentacles with someone like doing something over and over again. And here it's just she's just receiving. So it is a little
compensation, fair compensation for fair work. It's the exact same meaning. I just drew it in a very social justice kind of way.
Okay.
Right? Fair compensation for fair work. That's the way I see it.
No, I love it. And, you know, for those of you who don't know, the Pentacles is Earth, so it's the rivers and waterfalls, mermaids. So
yeah, it's the mermaids that live closer to the land.
Yeah. So like here, the Nine of Pentacles, you see a mermaid in a well, which is very much touching on the woman in like the walled garden, but in this case, it's a mermaid, so she's in a well. Does this well actually connect to anything else, or is she just trapped in the well?
Well, you know, I've always had this thing about wishing wells. Like, I've always found them a little creepy. Like, I don't know.
Right.
But I've always found this idea that we just throw our money randomly in water as a weird idea. So I kind of like this idea that there was this kind of creepy mermaid who, after you've cast your wish into the well, she steals it and then takes it somewhere else. See, I don't know. Maybe you've got a little picture into my little warped mind there, but I kind of love this idea that there was someone who stole these wishes, because that's what I used to think of as a little kid. Well, why are you putting it in there? Someone can steal them, right? Why would you do that? Why would you take something so precious and just throw it away so that anyone could steal it? So like now we have this like entire little creepy mermaid. Because you know the legends where they tell you go into certain parts of the forest and you give your offerings, and then you know the forest spirits will grant you your wishes. So I kind of based it on that, but then added this whole thing of that unknown again, because the Nine of Pentacles is also this really interesting card of illusion, because we don't know if we're in the garden, at the front of the garden, if what we're seeing is just a snapshot of the garden, the rest of the garden is absolute freaking trash. Like, we don't know any of these things. So it was kind of, again, part of this illusion. So the illusion of the wishing well, but the creepy little mermaid that's come to steal it. Like, that's just...
Give me more coins!
Precious.
So this is the last card I pulled. I mean, I could talk about the whole deck really, but this is the last card I pulled for us to discuss, because again, living in Hawaii, I've been here. This is like I've swam in this exact spot before. So the sun is like, that really struck home for me, because it's like I know that feeling of swimming with the fishes and just feeling ecstatic. So
yeah. This card came out of my love for open ocean swimming too, which I used to do all the time when I lived in Australia. I actually haven't done it since I've moved to the States, but I used to open ocean swim all the time. I've been to the Great Barrier Reef. So like being under... One of the things I used to love to do in my 20s is go out into Port Phillip Bay, and especially in summer, and just kind of think under the water. And the water was always a really beautiful blue in summer. And then just kind of like watch all the little sand fish around the bottom, and then all the other fish around the sides, and then see that beautiful image. So yeah, again, to me, it's an intimate image too, because I've done the deep ocean swimming and I know how beautiful it is under the water. And to be able to bring that, show that the sun is so important even under the water, was really important in this deck.
Right. It's one of my favorite cards, because like I said, it's like, I'm like, I've been there. I swam with every single one of those fishies. And it's funny because every time I get in the ocean, sea turtles pop up around me.
Oh wow! No, I haven't. No, that's what I can say. I have not swam with turtles. Fish, yes. Turtles, No. And it's really funny because when I moved away from the beach, a friend said to me, "You know that entire bay is filled with sharks." And I was like, "Really? I never saw it."
Well, that's like me here. It's like we always read stories about these tourists going out and snorkeling and getting bitten by sharks. And it's like, I've been here over 10 years and I swim all the time. I have not seen a wild shark. Sir, I've gone to the aquarium and seen it.
Because great white sharks and crocodiles only eat tourists. Like, we know this, right? Like, it's a thing. They don't eat the locals. Why would they do that?
No, they wouldn't eat the locals.
It's a joke we have in Australia. Like that Australian crocodiles only have taste buds for American tourists, right? Like that's just the way it is, because only Americans are stupid enough to not read the signs that say, "Crocodile, please don't go in here," and then you get eaten. Like,
I know, I get it. Well, and even here, even if they're not going to the ocean, they're going on these crazy hikes where they like fall down a ravine and we need to get a helicopter to save them. And it's just like, use your brains. This is not an amusement park. This is real life.
That happens here. That happens here in Vegas too, out at Red Rock. Like during peak tourist season, there's always someone who falls down the freaking mountains or the canyons here, and we're like, the local, we are all like, what the hell were you doing over there anyway? There's not even a trail over there.
I remember Red Rock. It's gorgeous. And I could see why someone would just start wandering. And he said, "Don't, stay to the trails."
Stay on the trail. Yeah, here and up at Mount Charleston, which is our ski lodge, because people don't realize that Vegas has its own ski resort here. Same thing. People just wander off up there and then like, oh, we're like, oh, okay, never mind. Usually they, 9 times out of 10, they've come from the strip, they're drunk, but it's like, the outdoors is a place of respect.
Right. And if you don't respect, it's going to smack you down. Like,
it's going to smack you down.
Well, I mean, even like certain trails here, you're not supposed to hike if it's raining because there's flash flooding.
Right.
And I can't even, I've lost count of how many times they had to like send in a helicopter because a flash flood happened and there's like some tourists clinging to a rock and like needing rescue. So, people just don't think. So, feel like doing a few readings for the people in chat?
Sure, let's do it.
I was thinking we each pull one card and then we see how the pair works for the question. So if anyone in chat has a question for us, please put it in all caps so I can see it, and I will put it up on the screen. And then at the end, we will do a reading for the collective. Antoinette says, "Okay, Jonathan, no need to rub it in just because it's cold in the UK all year round." Yeah, well, living here has turned me into a weather whip. I used to say, I never get cold. And now it's like, if it's under 80, I'm freezing.
Oh, no. It's going to be a lot colder than that for me to feel it.
And then if it's over 90, I'm way too hot. I have a very small window of comfort now after living here. I don't know why, but I used to be good in pretty much any weather.
I don't like heat. I don't like heat at all.
I never used to like heat. I hated it because my mom would always drag me down to Costa Rica, where it's like not only is there like 90-degree heat, but it's like 90% humidity on top of it, and I hated it. But now look where I live. Oh, we have our first question. So Michelle is asking, how can I deepen my spiritual practice? The jumper. Oh, wow. There's another card I was going to pull that we didn't talk about. So I got the Five of Pentacles.
And, Six of
There
Swords.
you are. Oh, okay. So both of these are talking about being stuck, right? Here you have the mermaid offering you the pearls of wisdom that you've been searching for, but you're just like, you're not paying attention, you're not even seeing it. And in Lisa's card, it's like you're just trying to escape.
It's a bumpy ride when you don't do the work.
Bumpy ride. So for me, I'm seeing this as, how can you do in your spiritual practice? Lift your head up and see what's being offered to you, right?
Yeah, I think if I was going to read these cards from a healing perspective, I would say it's time to invest in maybe some long-term healing work. So either work with a therapist or an energy worker or someone like that, and commit to working with them, or a spiritual teacher and commit to working with them for a minimum of 6 months. Because, it seems to me like there is some deeper healing work here that needs to be done. There's some clearing that needs to be done in order for you to really appreciate your gifts, your talents, and what is on offer for you right now.
Right. And both of them, like I said, it looked almost like you're trying to avoid what you need to go through, right? You need to get through that healing in order to reach that other side where you really are willing to accept the coin that they're being offered to.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Michelle. Let's see, Red Bean B. I have a new job opportunity. Shall I go for it? I love how easy it is to shuffle this deck. Oh, interesting. I got Temperance.
Yep. I got 10 of Wands. I've got this. I don't think it's going to be what you think it's going to be.
No, it's going to mess with your balance and overburden you, is what I'm getting. So, I mean, make sure the balance is there, because if not, you're going to be overburdened. That's what that's telling me.
Overworked and underpaid. That's what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you're willing to do that? Here, let's pile a few more sticks on your back.
That's right.
Here we have, what can I do to help me with my work career? I'm assuming that's work career.
Yeah, that's a pretty vague question, but we'll see what we get.
Oh. Interesting. I have the Three of Wands here.
Yep. And I've got the 10 of Cups. So I've got a feeling that, like, you've got to do something that makes you feel like you're giving to community in a very service-based way. Like, it's got to be a heart-centered movement or pivot or change for you.
I know it, and I'm just keep getting drawn to that. You want to say microscope, not microscope, the looking glass. So I think this is telling you, look closely at what it is you're doing, and if it's not fulfilling, you shouldn't be doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's got to have that 10 of Cups energy is very interesting, because it's not just about filling up your cup, it's about filling up the people you serve's cup as well. It's a very community-based card. So yeah, so don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Keep looking.
Keep looking, right? That's what that Three of Wands is all about. Don't settle, keep looking. So I know you have to be off right at the hour, is that right?
I've got to go teach my mastermind clients, yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So how about we do one last reading as a collective.
Okay.
And then we can, I'll ask you if you have anything you want to announce, and we can close up. Thank you so much, Leeza, for being here. It's been a blast.
Let's see. What do the mermaids want you people out there in YouTube land to know? That's interesting.
Interesting. I got the King of Pentacles.
And I got the 5 of Pentacles.
Wow. Okay. So obviously we need to focus on the material world right now. You need to focus on, since with the King of Pentacles, like controlling your finances, controlling your material world around you. And then that 5 of Pentacles, it's, wait, which way am I pointing here?
I kind of see that 5 of Pentacles matched with the King of Pentacles as it's time to be grateful for what you've got. Like, I really kind of see that. I see this 5 of Pentacles with the King of Pentacles pairing as we become masters of our resources when we honor and respect that which we already have. Because when we honor and respect that which we already have, then we become better stewards for that which we are calling in. So how are you being that steward for your financial resources and your material resources? And that includes your body and your health. So how are you honoring that? How are you making this body and this vessel one of your biggest resources? Because let's face it, we can't do anything without this body. Not in this physical realm. Like, good luck with that. Good luck just teleporting your consciousness to do your work. So this is like a really important physical resource. I think a lot of people forget that with Pentacles because they get really fixated on the money.
The money side of things.
The money side of it, but you can't make money without your body. So your body is part of your financial plan. It's part of your financial resources, and you have to start including it when you're making financial decisions. Is your body physically capable of making the money you want to create? Is it physically capable of holding the success you want to have? Maybe that's why you have this 5 of Pentacles moment. So we've got to be more grateful for all the things that we do have. Learn to be that King of Pentacles, which is being that steward, that leader, that master. And then once we have done that, the world will open up and another opportunity will present itself.
Thank you for that, because you put into words what I was thinking. The other thing that other thought that kind of came to me with that 5 of Pentacles is like we're so stuck in our own thoughts, we're not paying attention to our 5 senses. And that is really how we interact with the physical world, is with our 5 senses. And if we're not using all 5 senses, then we're not really interacting with the physical world completely. We're stuck in our head too much. So, and what the King of Pentacles is telling us is we need to master those 5 senses. So
where are the 5 senses?
Right? In our physical bodies.
Bodies.
So, do you have anything in the works as far as like offers and classes and stuff?
Offers and classes. Okay, so like we always have ongoing enrollment for our programs. I run as well as all the publishing stuff. I run a company with my business partner Pamela Chen. We run quantum wealth coaching. We have 2 ongoing enrollment programs that we are currently enrolling in, because we're enrolling in all the time. So that would be our 6-figure priestess course and our 7-figure goddess course. So if you are interested in any of those, you can go check out our Instagram page or our Facebook group Enchant, and go from there.
They offer so much free stuff. It's like, just go be a member, because you'll still learn even if you don't sign up for a program, because it's amazing stuff. So we try to give as much as we try to give as much as we can, so that we can get people to where they really need to be in order to then move on to the next level, because it's really important to us. So, Pam and I had made a commitment this year that we wanted to get 1 million women to $1 million in business. And that's a massive challenge, like massive challenge. We're going to be, I guess I'm going to have to live to 200. So like really got to take care of the body. So that has been our challenge. That's actually our goal. Our goal is to raise
raise spiritual entrepreneurs, and they don't always have to be women, but we want to raise spiritual entrepreneurs to get to seven figures, because we honestly believe that if the money and the power is in the hands of the people who care, our world will be a totally different place.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. So next week, I'm going to have Betsy Palmer Medium, who's in the chat, join me for our 4th Tuesday of the month, our usual play date. And please come back for that. And then next month, I have quite a few deck creators coming on. The first week of May, I'm going to have Madame Onsa of World Spirit Tarot come and talk about her deck. And if you have any deck creators that you would like to see interviewed here, please let me know. Hopefully I have their deck. I do have an extensive collection now, so thanks to the pandemic. I think I doubled my deck collection. Yeah, I mean, I'm personally still working through like what I want to do with this channel. I like these interviews. I love getting to know the deck from the creator's point of view. I think it really deepens my own understanding of the cards. And I've also, for those of you who don't know, I've been selling these lovely wearable crystal grid necklaces. So if you want one of those, just reach out. I am expecting probably about 12 more of these skull pendants from China to come to me. So thank you again, Leeza. I know it's not quite at the hour, but I want to be conscious of your time. So
thank you. Yes, because I will have to go use the little girl's room. So thank you very much.
Oh, sure, of course. So thank you everyone in chat, and I will see you next week with Betsy. And until next time, Leeza, just wait one moment, and yeah, until next time, aloha.